Ex-prisoners of Reddit, what was the scariest thing you've seen on prison? So I had this friend I hung out with all the time when I was a teenager, and his dad had been to prison a few times. I used to go over and drink/smoke weed with my friend and his brothers, and sometimes his dad would hang out with us for a bit. One night when we were all drinking, he decided to tell us all a story from his prison days. When he was close to being released, he decided he wanted to do something nice to surprise his wife. So he cut his penis and put some balls underneath the skin and let it close/heal, with the idea that it would make sex better for her. Guess as a thank you for waiting for him and taking care of the kids while he was in prison. This was years later and he still had them in. It wasn't something I saw so much as something I heard. Don't read if you have a weak stomach. This guy came in, very scary dude. He was openly a necrophiliac. The guy was doing time for desecration of a corpse. I was just a kid when this happened, so I was in the 18 to 24-year-old block, known in many jails and prisons as the jungle. Kids in jail are young, curious, and refuse to believe anyone out there has seen or done worse than they have in general. So people started asking this guy questions, trying to call his bluff and get him to explain what he was really in for. He stuck to his story that he got caught fucking a corpse in a cemetery. So here's where shit got bad. They started asking questions and everyone realized he was dead serious, no pun intended. He explained to us that it's very simple to fuck a dead female body. He said you simply dig the corpse up, lubricate the anus, puncture if necessary, and slide a curling iron inside for 5 to 7 minutes. He explained the vagina's close proximity to the anus caused this to warm the vagina up and make it feel lifelike. He said any scarring or burning to the anus didn't matter, as this was all about making her feel alive while you needed her and nothing else mattered. The utter matter-of-fact manner in which he explained it all, coupled with his jacket, papers showing what crime he was incarcerated for, showing he was in for desecration of a corpse. No one asked him anything after that. No one messed with him or got in his way, not even groups of dudes ever messed with him. I saw some savage beatings, met some killers, rapists, armed robbers, truly scary, awful people. Nothing stuck with me like that, though. 12 years later, I still think about that guy sometimes and get the creeps. I'd say it's the time I was out on the exercise yard in Durham Prison, UK, standing against a fence talking to someone I know. In the middle was people walking round in a circle like normal. This guy steps out of the circling crowd and slashes the guy right next to me and steps back into the crowd. The guy looks at me and starts saying, "Have I been slashed? Have I been slashed?" Honestly, the side of his face was wide open. I thought I could see his teeth. I just exhaled and leant back against the fence, pretending I'd saw nothing. Nothing else I could really do, and I wasn't getting involved in whatever it was that was happening. Anyway, the alarms went off and the screws pulled him out of the yard. Another thing that wasn't scary really, more shocking but has stayed with me, was when I saw somebody hanging when I was in North Allerton Young Offenders. You had 3 landings, floors, on the induction wing. The bottom landing was used as the association where you went out for an hour a day and made phone calls and such. Anyway, I'm waiting to use the phone and a cell alarm went off on the landing above. A screw went to the door and starts screaming for help and opens the door. In your pad you had like a shower board, is the best I can describe it, that blocked off the view between the toilet and your double bunk. As I looked up I saw a lad hanging off it, pretty much blue in the face. The screw is grabbing him by the legs and trying to keep him up, and another screw runs in and cuts him down. Loads more screws turn up and they have him laid out on the landing doing CPR on him. They put what I can only describe as some sort of shoehorn down his throat. There's mumbling and they carry him off, and I never saw him again. The prison was small, so if he was alive I probably would have seen him again. Honestly, prison is rife with mental health issues and just what I can only describe as a volcano of emotion waiting to erupt. I could honestly type many different stories, from rapists getting their heads stoved in for a solid 30 minutes while a screw sits not even a meter away, to stuff like waking up to my pad mate screaming because he's sliced his arm open and stuck a pen right inside it somehow and the blood is everywhere like some sort of horror movie. Anybody who implies it's like a holiday camp is wrong. Not me, but this is a story that makes me shiver whenever I think of it. There's a guy who was in a large gang and went to jail many times between the age of 18 to his late 20s. He's in his 30s now and has changed, left the criminal underworld, and now travels the country and holds lectures to teenagers about his life and how if you're involved with gangs, seek help to get out. Don't ever go down that path. The first time he went to jail, at 18 years old, It was night and he was trying to sleep. There was a loud scream that woke everyone up. Both guards and other workers ran to the cell where the scream had come from, where one inmate had thrown a liter of boiling cooking oil that had been boiled at the highest temperature for over an hour in another inmate's face. A worker there panicked and didn't know what to do. So this woman, I feel so bad for her, she had no idea what would happen, took a wet cloth/towel and put it on the man's face. When they tried to remove it, the man's skin and flesh just peeled off with it. Pretty much his entire nose was ripped off, along with parts of his cheeks, chin, and eyelid, etc. Just hearing about it is horrifying. He's still alive. Last that the guy who told the story heard, the man has had several surgeries, cosmetic surgeries. Is that what they're called? To get his face fixed. It's still horribly disfigured. Not a prisoner, but a former prison guard. One of our corporals got stabbed over 30 times, with no one around to help. Blood spray had practically painted the office red. Amazingly, he survived, but never came back. Another officer got beat so bad he was unrecognizable, all for a stupid gang initiation. Only death during my time was a guy that was improperly restrained, in the dark, without a camera, and he choked to death because he was wearing too many clothes and had toilet paper in his nose, because he knew the CERT, prison SWAT, team was coming to get him. My cousin at the mental health prison had some wild stories. A guy with his testicle on a spork, another would open his abdominal stitches and play with his own intestines. I could not imagine working there. A friend just got out a few days ago. He did 5 years in California on a level 4 yard, which I think is the highest. Snyway, he said while he was in there, a guy came in who was what they consider an affiliate. They are part of the gang, but have done things in the past to help and thus earn protection. So, this quiet guy gets matched with a big ugly lifer, tatted to the gills and with an anger problem. Well, after a few weeks, after lights out, this big lifer starts picking on the little guy. No one knows what they fought over, but at head count the next morning, the CO looks in and finds the little guy smoking a cigarette with blood everywhere and nothing but a skull next to him. Apparently, the little guy won, then removed all the organs and flushed them down the toilet. Then he cut big sections of skin and flushed those. Then the muscles, even the bone was cut up or broken and flushed. Then he had some Folgers instant coffee and a cigarette. Not a prisoner myself, but heard from a friend that you have to shit in front of other prisoners. It's a nightmare for someone with pachypresis and anxiety issues like him, to poop without privacy. On top of that, he was jailed for a crime he didn't really did but got involved in as he was part of the group. Sucks, man. Also, he told stories that some isolation cells like those for suicidal prisoners had just a simple hole to do all your business, not even a toilet/bathroom.